Hey, sixth grade. Here I am again with another set of vocab words. This is from Unit 7 of the Blue Vocab book. I'm going to start by reading the article at the beginning, which is a biography, and then I'll go over the vocab words so you can hear them pronounced, their definitions, their sentences, etc. Okay, starting first with Eugenie Clark, swimming with the sharks. 9-year-old Jeannie leaned against the glass barrier and stared at the fish. This was her first visit to the aquarium, and she couldn't keep her eyes off the underwater scene. Neon fish flashed by, and an octopus waved. Jeannie, however, stared mainly at the sharks. Imagine swimming with these graceful creatures. After that, Jeannie became a reliable visitor at the New York City Aquarium. She went back week after week, always learning more about ocean life. Soon she decided to become an ichthyologist, a scientist who studies fish. She was only in 4th grade, but Eugenie Clark calculated that there was nothing else that she would rather do than swim with sharks. Years later, Jeannie's dream came true. When in her 20s, she became Dr. Eugenie Clark. She had degrees in marine biology and experience studying fish all over the world. Since diving was the best way to study fish, Dr. Clark obtained some scuba gear. On one early dive, a large shark appeared and gave her a jolt. Not frightened, Clark simply admired the shark's beauty. Swimming with sharks was fun, but Eugenie Clark also wanted to learn about them through experiments. To pursue this kind of work, she started a marine laboratory in Florida. Doing so made her the first woman in the United States to run her own marine biology lab, a considerable achievement. Over the years, Clark composed many articles and even wrote a book about her adventures that was called The Lady and the Sharks. The book became a bestseller and people started calling her Shark Lady. Clark also helped teach people about ocean life through films and television shows. Always on the go, she did not appoint deputies to do the filming. Instead, she traveled the world to take part in it herself. During her travels, Clark often called attention to threats to the ocean environment. For example, she often dived in the Red Sea in Egypt. There, the Ras Mohammed reefs, like many of the world's coral reefs, were being harmed by pollution. To save the reefs, Eugenie Clark teamed with Egyptian scientists and divers. Together, these experts made the Egyptian government and public aware of the problem. Many Egyptians rejoiced when, as a result of their efforts, Ras Mohammed became Egypt's first national park. Eugenie Clark wasn't about to retire when she turned 65. Instead, she began to dive in submersibles, or mini-submarines. For Clark, the subs safely opened up new areas of the ocean for study. After all, diving deep down for long periods of time in scuba gear can be unhealthy and dangerous. Exposure to salt water can shrivel a person's skin. The intense pressure of the water can leave a diver unconscious and senseless. By contrast, a diver in a submersible can descend thousands of feet with no harmful physical effects. Industrious as ever, Dr. Clark keeps studying sharks and writing books. Diving in submersibles, she continues to live her childhood dream of exploring the treasures of the sea. To her, of course, that doesn't mean sunken treasure chests and pirate loot, but rather the wonders of underwater life. And now for the vocab words. Number 1 is barrier, a noun that means something that blocks the way, or an obstacle. Firefighters often construct a barrier to stop a forest fire. Number 2 is calculate. It's a verb that means to find out by using mathematics or reasoning. It can also mean to reckon or estimate. Number 3 is compose. It's a verb that means to be or make up the parts of, form. It can also mean to create or write, and it also means to calm or quiet one's mind. Before you compose the essay, you might write an outline. A sentence that might work for the final part of the definition, to calm or quiet one's mind, would be, I needed to compose myself before giving the speech. Number 4 is considerable. It's an adjective that means fairly large in size or extent, or worthy of attention. It will take a considerable amount of time to complete the science project. Number 5 is deputy. It's a noun that means one chosen to help or take the place of another or to act in that person's absence. The sheriff's first act after winning the election was to appoint a deputy. Number 6 is industrious. It's an adjective that means busy or working steadily. The crew that gathered to clean up the vacant lot was as industrious as an ant colony. Number 7 is jolt. It can be a verb or a noun. The verb form means to shake up roughly, or to move along in a jerky or bumpy fashion. It was fun to jolt down the dirt road in the wagon. A sentence for the first form of the verb definition for jolt would be, I was jolted when I found out the horrible news. The noun form of jolt is a sudden bump or jerk, or a shock or surprise. We felt a jolt as the Ferris wheel started. Number 8 is loot. It can be a verb that means to rob by force or violence, especially during war or time of unrest. And the sentence for that would be, the soldiers were warned not to loot the villages. The noun form of loot means valuable things that have been stolen or taken by force. Detectives found loot from a dozen robberies. Number 9, rejoice. It's a verb that means to feel joy or great delight, or to make joyful. The whole town will rejoice if the team wins the championship. Number 10 is reliable. It's an adjective that means deserving trust or dependable. It is not easy to find a reliable babysitter. Number 11, senseless. It's an adjective that means lacking meaning, stupid or foolish, or without use of the senses. The boxer was knocked senseless by the blow. And finally, number 12, shrivel. It's a verb that means to shrink and wrinkle, especially from heat, cold, or dryness. Exposed skin will shrivel in the frosty air.